Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Set Listing Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson, and we are going back old school. Ken, I think you were one of my first guests. I gotta be.
I,
Ken Rosen is joining me, by the way, but I'm thinking the first 3 or 4 months of the podcast, you joined me.
I think so. It would have been early 2018, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I
it's,
had just started the blog.
yeah. So that's crazy. So, anyway, in case someone is not aware, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself?
I can do that. Hi, my name's Ken Rosen. For the last 8 years, I have written a blog. For the 7 of the last 8 years, I've written a blog called eStreetShuffle.com. I really didn't do any writing the last year, which is why I recently made the decision to wind it down. But during the time that it was up and running, it was a fun gig. I was on a mission to do a deep dive and write about every song Bruce Springsteen's ever released, performed, written, given away, whatever touched in some way, along with a daily almanac of this day in Springsteen history. And yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, we're going to get into why you're hanging up your keyboard, but I do get a kick out of every time listening to E Street Radio and Jim Rotolo goes today and Bruce Springsteen pulled from and he gives you credit on your from your blog.
I know it's so nice of him. I remember vividly, and I actually wrote about this in the introduction to one of the books that's coming out. But I remember vividly the day that I heard him do that. My wife and I were driving back from like the Oregon coast. We were on vacation, and we're like listening to E Street Radio. And I don't even think he was calling it like the Glory Day segment, but he was reading it. And I'm like, man, that's like what I write about. And I'm listening to him going, that sounds really familiar. And I like made her pull over the side of the road. I'm like, you can go back on Sirius Radio. And
Yeah.
I'm like, listen to it. I'm pulling up the day's blog on my phone. I'm going, that's my blog. They're reading my blog. That was really cool. And I don't even think I knew that they did it daily for a long time until like people on social media started like telling me that they heard
Yeah.
it. Uh, yeah,
So
that's
that
cool.
that answered my question. No one ever reached out to you or asked you or talked to you?
No, so no one did. And then I think I try to remember back. So
Yeah.
a bunch of people like kind of let me know about it, and they're like, "You should say, hey, can you give me some credit or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's just nice to be like,
Yeah.
it's cool to hear my words." But I think some other folks did reach out, and that's why they started acknowledging. I don't know that they even know who wrote it, so they just started saying courtesy of eStreetShuffle.com, which was cool because I probably got some traffic from it. So that was nice.
Yeah. Very nice. We're going to go through some old familiar ground, but and then I want to hear why you decided to kind of, as we said, move on to other pastors. But uh, when you originally started doing this, what was the goal? Why did you challenge yourself to do this?
I think I was doing it before I knew what I was doing.
Okay.
And like I started the blog because my family was sick of me like leavening every conversation at the dinner table with Bruce Springsteen factoids. And my wife at one point just said, like, why don't you just start a blog? And I'm like, I could do that. That's a great idea. And I don't know that she was serious when she said it. She might have been sarcastic because I have a notoriously poor sarcasm radar. But I took it seriously, and I started. It was literally at this time of year. It was like as Thanksgiving was approaching, and I was just kind of learning, how do you do a blog? Like, how does it work? What do you need?
Hmm.
And one of the things that was impressed upon me, I talked to a couple bloggers, was like, you need content more than anything else. Is you need content, right? So if you don't keep feeding the beast, you're just not going to get like the regular traffic. So I'm like, okay, let me like build up like a stack of essays before I even start the blog. So I have some stuff, right? And so I did that. I had, I think, 2 weeks worth. And so I started it, but then I would like continue writing. And I think it was like I don't know, I think it was over a month in, and I realized I have not taken a day off yet. I might be able to keep this up. And it would be cool to like eventually go through sort of everything. And I had the spreadsheet of, I think I pulled from Bruce Bass of every song like there was of any sort, even like the unreleased stuff and random covers and snippets of things. I'm like, let's just like randomly go through them, and I could probably get 5 years out of this, maybe, if he doesn't release a ton of new music between now and then. And so I set off to do that. And, I think I made it a good 4 years before I missed a day.
I was going to ask, I know it was a while before you missed a day, right?
Yeah, I ended up taking some time off when my dad died in the summer of
Mhm.
21.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I just said I'm gone for 2 weeks and then I'm back. And then I think once I just started doing that, like then I would start taking some breaks or I just missed days and then it became less frequent. I haven't gone back to total up the post, but I know that it's got more sporadic over the time.
I know that, and it's not the same thing whatsoever, but I had gotten, gosh, I think I'd done over a year of Wordle, like in a row, right?
Yeah.
And then you're on the pressure, right? You've got to remember, oh my God, I can't break my streak. I can't break my streak. And then when you break your streak, you realize, I don't
Whatever.
care.
Yeah.
But it's every once in a while, oh, it's saying that I, didn't do it yesterday. Yes, I didn't.
Yeah. My family all does Wordle and
Yeah,
they're all maniacal about their streaks. And
yeah,
I do not care. I like play it when I remember, and if I miss it, again, whatever.
yeah.
So
It was, yeah, at the time, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. Yeah, yeah, I got you a lot. Yeah, my max streak on Wordle, I'm just looking, was 679 days.
holy cow.
Yeah, yeah. My current streak is 10. And there was such a feeling of relief when I'm like, oh, it's okay. I broke the streak.
Yeah, that's even though like I went 4 years without missing a day,
Yeah,
I didn't write every day. Like I would
right.
have a writing day where I would write a bunch. So I
Yeah.
spent tons of days, more days when I didn't write than did, but at least in the beginning. But so I can imagine the sort of pressure of, oh man, there could be like big stuff going on in your life.
Yeah. Oh, I got to stop and do Wordle. We're on
Yeah,
vacation. I got to do Wordle.
yeah.
So you talked about it for the last year. You haven't been updating. Was there a road to Damascus moment, or just a little
No,
mixture of everything?
yeah, it's funny. I think I'll answer that in a second, but I think I decided to end the blog long before I've decided to, if that makes any sense. And I spent a lot of time because this is what happens when I get inside my head, which I do a lot. Is I know I'm not enjoying this anymore. I should stop, but I want to figure out what the reason is. And there were like probably 8 reasons. There was like I'm getting older, and honestly, it's just harder to focus my thoughts and write. There was a time when stuff would just pour out of me, and I think it's
Hmm.
just harder to do that now. And also, I have like grandkids, and I want to spend time with them. And also, I'm a natural introvert, and I do like I've learned over the last couple of years, I suffer from like periodic depressive episodes and anxiety. And writing the blog for a long time was a good way. It wasn't a healthy way, but it was a convenient way of
Yeah.
avoiding all that because I have an avoidant personality too. And I think as I started to focus on my mental health, I started to realize that writing the blog wasn't really helping me. And also, it just started, it's the Wordle streak thing. So it's like
Yeah.
the pressure, right? And there's all these things. I'd be like, I need to figure out like what's the real reason. And my therapist at one point was just like, if you just don't want to do it, stop doing it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I
Is
just
that an
don't want to.
option? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know I could do that.
And then I was scared I was scared to do it. I was scared to announce it because I also have this part of my personality that is afraid of disappointing people. And I realized that was part of it too. I was just doing it because I didn't want to like people to go would be disappointed and what's the street radio gonna do and that kind of stuff. And like I think I wrote and rewrote the post announcing it like so many times over so many weeks before I finally sent it out. And it was like, It was oversharing, it was undersharing, and it was just like whatever. And then I finally was just like, you know what? I heck with it. I just gotta like just do it and move
Hmm.
on. And so I did.
So my wife is the first one that told me many years ago that she says, I can tell when you're stressed because you podcast more.
Yeah.
When you're not happy at your work day job or you're really worried about something, I can tell the podcast go up. And I was like, no. And then I started, I think she might have a point. And I have shared this on the podcast. I had pretty much made the decision that I was going to stop at my 10-year point. I was like,
Mhm.
that's it. I'll quit recording. I'll finish the rest of them and I'm just going to stop. I've never gotten the amount of downloads I wanted. I didn't get the volume I wanted. Maybe 10 years is a good time. That's a nice round number. And then a couple of things happened that made me feel like there's a responsibility to my listenership and I'm still having fun. And by the
Mhm.
way, I will give you a lot of credit. You were the first person that kind of articulated that I was creating a community.
Yeah.
When you wrote the
I remember
article
I wrote,
about me,
yeah, we had a little crossover going.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you said you're this because it was during COVID and this sense of community,
Yeah.
and you said I find that in Bruce's and Jesse's podcast. And I am cutting back though. I am going to do one a week only and just go from there because as we're oversharing, my frustration or my the anxiousness of is I send an email to someone, "Hey, would you want to be on the podcast?" When they go, "Yes," I go, "Great. My next opening is in the end of January." Then you must not really want me to be on the podcast then. And so then
Um,
I end up getting 8 people in 1 week and then they're all backed up.
that's a lot
So
of stress.
yeah, so I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a certain type of person, you may be one, I certainly am, that we create our own stress.
Yeah.
And that's what the anxiety does for me
Hmm.
anyway. I feel like I really should write something. I'll sit down to write something. I don't really want to write something. I was looking the other day, like I have 32 essays in my drafts folder in various states of completion over the last couple of years that I've tried to write and just didn't like it. Mostly it was because I was like, I don't think people are gonna like this. Like I wrote a whole essay on Gloria's Eyes and I just did not like the song. And I'm like, I don't want to put something out and be negative because people are gonna think I'm like negative, and then I'm like, I feel like I have to like find something virtuous in every song, and it was just, and I feel like I just started like sputtering basically and just putting
Hmm.
stuff aside. And this is ridiculous. I can't. It's like a waste of time at this point to keep trying.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
when will officially be the day?
I know it's going to be January 4th will be the last day of Kingdom of Days. The rest of it's already stopped
Yeah.
anyway, a while ago. And I chose January 4th because it's like the end of the blog year because I started on January 5th, so Kingdom of Days will be complete. Like I told people that I would keep Kingdom of Days around for like next year. I just wouldn't update it. It's all a mess. And I feel I need to update my readers and just go after January 4th. If the site will be there, I cannot guarantee that it's going to be useful in any way.
Yeah. And so will the auto email stop?
They will. Yeah. Like I said at the beginning, I have three grandkids now. 5 years ago, I had zero, and now I have three. If I have spare time, like I go over to their place and I play Lego with them and stuff. And that's how I want to use my spare hours now. I did the math and I'm like, I wrote 6,433 pages over those years. How much of my life did I miss out on?
Yeah.
I really thought that. It drove it home for me. Yeah, I spent probably, I don't know, at least half a year's worth of Saturdays over the time, like just writing. Yeah, Yeah, I'll just leave it at
No,
that.
no,
It affected me when I realized how much of my life I'd given up.
yeah, I'm thinking I subscribe to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's newsletter, his blog, and I forgot what was going on, but something about, I think it was maybe LeBron breaking his record or something. And he said, look, if I had to choose between going to a basketball game and playing Lego with my grandkids, I'm playing Lego with my grandkids every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool statement. I want to hang with my grandkids, and I say good for you.
Yeah, it's just what I want to do. I left social media well over a year ago, like
Okay.
all of it except for LinkedIn. So I feel very out of touch with
Okay.
what's going on. For a while, I would at least lurk and see. And then some months ago, actually, while I was waiting for you to come on, it suddenly occurred to me, I'm like, holy cow, Stand Up for Heroes must have happened. I haven't heard a thing about it. And I had to go and look, oh, it's not on Bruce Base. I guess he didn't show. That's weird. But just things that I would just normally be aware of. Oh, and then a friend sent me thinking that he was at the library, the public library. Had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. Like now I just don't know stuff that's going on.
Are you happier without the social media?
So much. Oh my God. I originally stopped doing it just because. So I started beating myself up because I just didn't like what they were doing with the data. And then I really started to not like Musk and Zuckerberg, and I just didn't want to support those companies at all. And then I started to actually feel so liberated. Like my quality of life was better when I was just focusing on real relationships and not like online stuff. And I was going to say, I would highly recommend it to everybody, but I know there's a lot of utility in it also for people. I'm not, I would never judge or anything, but I can certainly say for me at least, boy, I am healthier being off of social media for sure.
I have talked about it, and I do believe that without the podcast, did you get to go to any of the tours of the past, this latest round? Any of the
I
shows?
saw nothing this year. I don't think. Zip. Yeah. I will. This will be the first calendar year I've gone without seeing Bruce at least once since
So you saw him in 20,
2000 since 2001, I think, actually.
so you saw him in 2004, 24, right?
Yeah,
When
I
the,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this year was just the European section. But you usually go to one off or something, right?
I just didn't. I just
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah. I think like I told you we were like emailing back and forth, setting this
Yeah.
up. I don't know. Maybe I overcorrected, but I think I just needed to like it would fill up a whole different conversation, but I really just needed to focus on like my in-person life and my
Yeah.
in-person job, my in-person family and friends. And I just felt the need to detach from everything that was, even though those concerts are like an in-person experience, everything around it that
Yeah.
binded it felt like it was an online thing as well. And I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah. And that's a change for you because you are someone who in the past you would have been at the Born to Run 50th anniversary symposium.
Yeah.
That would have been something you would have made.
Yeah.
Did you go to the movie?
I did. Yeah. I did see the movie.
Thoughts?
I liked it. It was a little disjointed, I thought. I really had a hard time with the Faye character. I understand why they did it. Like I really do, and I thought that was a wise thing to do.
Yes.
But it was also just very distracting for me. And also, like the other thing I had a hard time with is Jeremy Allen White is awesome when he's awesome.
Hmm.
But there were like lots of parts of the movie scenes where he just like completely drops out of character and he's just Jeremy Allen White. The accent goes away and he just sounds like he normally does. And I'm like, dude, where's the director? Was he like falling asleep or something? Like, why didn't you like cut the scene and go character? Like I don't know if
That's
anyone else
funny.
did you notice that? There were scenes where, like there are scenes where like that's Bruce. And then there are
Yeah.
scenes where like, dude, you're not even trying.
I did not catch that. The Faye character did not bother me, though I know it did a lot of people. And I appreciate the fact that you're like, you understand why they make that story choice. What I'd said is if this was not a true story, if this was a fictional movie, I would have been pulling for the couple. I thought she was very good in this and very captivating, and they had some nice chemistry. Yeah, I watched it and after it's over and I'm going, who's going to want to see this? Will this sell to the general public? And Blinded by the Light, I thought was a great movie about the joy of discovering a new artist and how that affects you and everything. This one, in fact, when I took my wife and son, I warned them. I said, it's slow.
Yeah.
And it's a lot about depression more than it is music. And they both afterwards said they loved it, but they really were appreciated I had them in the right mindset before we went in there.
Yeah, I think probably my issue with it was it felt like it should have been either more about the music or more about depression.
Yeah.
And I felt like it tried to balance it. And for me, the balancing really didn't work.
Mm.
Like I would rather have seen it go all in on his mental health struggles. And certainly they're tied together because it was
Yeah.
happening at the time. But I just felt if you're going to do that, you don't need to focus on all the procedural
Hmm.
stuff on with the
Yeah.
making. Or just focus on the album, and then you don't need to get us that much inside
Sure.
struggles. But
Yeah.
I just felt like it was like spinning plates, and
Sure.
it didn't work as much for me.
That's fair enough. Ken, you have served the East Street community well, and you've been a good friend to this podcast, and you've been a good friend to me. So I do
Oh,
appreciate
thanks.
it,
Yeah.
and we will stay in touch, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope so. Hey, before we sign off, can we talk like lost albums for a minute though? Because I'm
Yeah,
curious.
no, sure,
Never
absolutely.
had a chance to talk. I was actually curious, like, what your thoughts were on those.
Yeah, so it was, I agree with a couple other people. It's almost overwhelming. Could you have put one
Sure.
out every 2 months? So I liked all of them in their own way. Inyo was probably my least favorite, but then I'm not a big fan of Ghost of Tom Joad. I really like the Crooner album, the
Pilot
where
hours.
he's doing that. Yeah, the country and western kind of was fun. So yeah, all of them have been really special. The one I really was surprised how much I liked was the soundtrack, and I now want to watch that movie. Whatever,
Faithless.
yeah,
Oh man, that okay. Faithless is now my second favorite Springsteen album of all time,
yeah,
behind Western Stars, and it may pass like over time. Like it is.
yeah,
I have not been able to stop playing it since I got it. It got in my head right away. It's gorgeous. Yeah, that's if I can get myself to write enough to do one of the albums,
yeah,
that would be the one I would do.
yeah. Someone said, and I'll turn off my background so it doesn't blur anymore. So someone said that this book, St. August Stand, was possibly because the rumor it had that the director had, oh, drawing a blank. But anyway, there was a director attached to this, Scorsese. And so if you read Ned Swanson was deep in the New Mexico desert when he stumbled across the trapped survivors of an Apache ambush, 3 nuns and 7 orphans. Their leader, the indomitable Sister St. Agnes, was convinced that Swanson was sent by God to save them to lead these women and children through hunger, thirst, and scorching heat to a place of safety. And I'm like, yeah, that does sound like the soundtrack. So, yes, I want to see that film. I really love it. My sister is very religious, and I sent her a couple of songs on this. God sent you, and just, yeah. So I think it's really cool what he did with that.
It's a great driving record. Like I will
Yeah.
put that on when I go out. And I remember it came out right as my youngest granddaughter was born. And I remember just driving back and forth to and from the hospital, like to visit my daughter, and that album was just playing like on loop, and it's just so soul soothing. It just means a lot to me.
Yeah. Did you listen to any of the Nebraska box set?
I did, yeah. The I liked it. I can't say that I've listened to the live one yet that he did, like
Hmm.
by himself. I listened to the electric versions. I may or may not have had them for a long time.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
so it's but I like it's nice to hear them in like pristine quality.
Yes. Yeah.
And there are some tracks I really liked. And the funny thing is, I think the electric tracks I really liked the most were the most subtle ones,
Mm.
where it was just like Nebraska and oh, what else was in there? Was Used Cars like that too? I think I don't know. There were a few songs that was just
Yeah.
very lightly enhanced. I'm like, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it is interesting to creatively seeing where he was. And he said in interviews he was a little tough on the band. They weren't as bad as he said they were, right? He said, I'm saying they're horrible now that I hear them. No, they're not horrible at all. It's just not what I wanted to hear. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I had that impression too. It's actually it's just fine. I don't know why he didn't release some of the
Yeah.
stuff, especially because obviously some of those arrangements went into his set list. There were some very familiar ones there.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that's what some critic had said that by having the band's version of the live Atlantic City is the exclamation point that the band ended up did getting it. So very cool.
It is funny. I don't know that. I'm not sure. I believe 100% that he didn't know he had it and just came.
Yeah.
Maybe he forgot about it. But it's the arrangements that you play live are the ones that you
Yeah, that is kind
recorded.
yeah.
So did you think they just popped into your head out of nowhere?
Yeah,
Like
good point.
I feel a little bit like the game
Yeah,
is given away. But
absolutely. That's great. Anything else we need to catch up on before I
I,
let you
I think
go?
I know we've done it bad. It's so great talking to you.
It is always great to talk to you. When you feel like it, just all you got to do is email me and say, "Hey, Jesse, I have an itch. I don't want to
Okay,
write a column, but I do want to talk Bruce. So can I join you?" And we can do that. Okay.
sounds good, man.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you.
Bye.
And congratulations on the grandbabies. All right, listeners, just thanks for listening. Everyone, be safe, be kind, and we'll talk soon. Goodbye.